Alright guys, welcome to my channel. So for today's video tutorial, we're going to be focusing on web development, and the aspect of web development we're going to learn today is front-end development, and we're going to be looking at introduction to HTML5 programming. As you may not know, or this being your first tutorial, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It is a markup language used for designing websites and web apps. It basically breaks up the structure of a website. See a website like a building where you have each blocks forming the building. The blocks creating this particular building in web development will be termed as HTML, as HTML provides a solid foundation of the website and the internet. Basically, everyone visits the internet every day, so I believe you all know what a website entails. You all know what's a web app also. The difference between a web app and a website is this: a web app has the ability to collect users' input accounts and store them in the database. Your social medias are a typical example of web apps. Your e-commerce sites, those are sites that allows you to sell and purchase goods online. Those are your e-commerce sites. For more documentation on HTML, I will drop a link in the description below to join my WhatsApp platform, so questions can be asked there referring to any HTML problems we may come across. So this video is going to cover basically HTML overall from the beginning to advanced, so I will try my best to be explanative enough. Please do well to get your notes and make sure you jot down every significant details we'll be entering in this video. Now, the tools we're going to make use of is not that difficult. We're going to make use of the Visual Studio Code. As you can see, the Visual Studio Code is an IDE, which stands for Integrated Development Environment, that helps me to helps all developers to able to compile some set of codes in building website, web apps, and using other programming language as well. The Visual Studio Code can be downloaded from the internet through the browser, but to make it easier for you, I'm going to set up a link description for you to download Visual Studio Code setup. The installing is very simple. Once you click on the link using your system, the link is also going to be available on the WhatsApp platform, and I'm also going to place it on the link on the group description. So once you click the link, it's going to direct you straight to the Visual Studio Code official website. You download the software applicable for you to your operating system, if you are using the Windows, the Linux, or Mac. So for me, I'm using Windows, so you choose the Windows 64, install, and depending on your internet connection, you wait for it to finish downloading, then you run the setup. The setup is going to be found in your download folder in your library. Once you've downloaded the software, you go straight to your download. You are going to see it along this plot. So in order for me not to ruin my setups that I've done in my Visual Studio Code, I would give you some steps. So the steps are going to be listed in the WhatsApp group, but it's pretty simple. Once you click on the link in the description, it's going to take you straight to the website. You click on it, you wait for a few seconds or minutes. Once the setup is done downloading, click on the setup in the download folder I just showed you now in your library. Wait for the setup to run, click next, agree to the terms and conditions, then make sure you check the box that prompts you to create desktop icon. So this icon can be present on the desktop for shortcuts, but every prompt that comes in, make sure you press OK, next, and agree, and tick the box for desktop icon. Once you are done, the Visual Studio Code is going to be launched, and this is going to be the environment. Alright, so this is where we are going to code our HTML. So for this video, we are going to focus mainly on HTML. I hope you subscribe and like this video, share, and please give your thoughts through the comment section as you wait for other video sections that will be very applicable to your course study. For those of you who wish to pick front-end web development, I advise you to after this video, make sure you go to my next video, which is going to be entailing on CSS, and the next on JavaScript. For those of you who wish to learn how to use your mobile phones to build websites, I'll be uploading a video very soon on how to use your mobile phones to build websites. But for now, this video is only going to favor those who have system, but nevertheless, those without system can also find this video very educative. Alright, let's begin. First, I'm going to create a new folder. On your desktop, you just right click your mouse. This is where we're going to save all our HTML codes. So I'm just going to name this. Alright, we're going to name this HTML practice. Sorry. Alright, so now let's launch our Visual Studio Code. Now on the file section, you click on the file, you click on the new file, or you could alternatively press Ctrl N. On the selected language, just tap. We're going to code HTML, so you type HTML, strike enter. Now if you notice, this sidebar was not here before. In order for you to bring out that sidebar, you click on the Explorer, which is the first icon here, as you can see on the sidebar. Once you click on it, open folder. We're going to find that folder we created on the desktop, remember. So I'm going to click on desktop. I'm going to look for the folder which we created, HTML practice. I found it, so I'm going to highlight that folder. I'm going to click select folder. Now the folder is going to be opened here. Yes, I trust the authors. Good. So all our codes, we want to save them inside this folder named HTML practice. So I'm going to click on new file, or you could just press Ctrl N. Alternatively, press Ctrl N, tap on that selected language, type HTML, click yes. Now let's save our HTML. You're going to come to file, click file, go down and click save. Now as you can see here, it is HTML practice. The Visual Studio Code has automatically linked you to HTML practice folder, so any code we code here and we save here are going to be saved here. Now, how do we save HTML files? Just like other files in your system, music, videos, text, PDFs, they are all saved with something called an extension. An extension basically tells the computer how that file or application should behave, or what other applications should open or run those applications. For example, for normal text documents, if I should create a text document, you have basic.txt. Basic.txt basically tells the computer that alright, this file is a text file and should be opened with a notepad or other word processing document. If I should say basic.pdf, it's going to tell the computer that this is a portable document folder which should be opened with PDF readers or PDF viewers. If I should type basic.mp3, this basically tells the computer that only MP3 players should open such documents. You understand? And I think the one for the pictures are JPEGs, MPEGs, and PNG and so. But for HTML, the extension language for HTML is just .html. So basic.html. Notice there are no space in between. If there is a space between them, it's going to create an error. Alright, so make sure there are no space between. For now, we're going to work with a contemporary naming system, but in advance we're going to look at more professional naming system that helps for SEO, which is search engine optimization, and for files organization when you're hosting them on a database or in a hosting platform. But for now, we can stick with any names. So make sure that there's no space between the period and the extension, which is .html. Other programming language files have their extensions. So for you who are just starting out with HTML, we're going to stick with this extension, which is .html. Alright, having done that, I'm going to click save. Alright, so as you can see, basic.html has been saved. Now, basically, this .html now tells the computer that okay, our basic file is a web page automatically. Not only does it tell the computer that, it also tells the computer what application is allowed to run or open such file. Now .html triggers the computer to allow only web browsers or HTML viewers, but majorly web browsers, to launch the basic.html page. Alright, now to view this on the browser, there are two ways. Let's start with the basic level. If you check our HTML practice, you can see that the file basic we created is here. Automatically you can see that your default browser is what is going to be allowed to open your web page. Now if your system is not set on a default browser, this is what you do. Click the start button, type apps, okay, apps and permission. Alright, just type apps, click, look for this is apps, default apps. On the sidebar, click on default apps. Now you see every default apps along the line. Now you can see that for my web browser I set Microsoft Edge. Now note, if your Microsoft Edge is not the latest version, I don't advise you to use this. If your Microsoft Edge is not looking like my Edge, try using another browser, alternatively Firefox or Google Chrome. But because of this, Microsoft Edge is actually the latest version and it has lots of perks, I'm making use of Microsoft Edge. So automatically the system uses your default browser to launch your HTML files. So now all you have to do is just to double tap and it opens on the website, alright, on your browser rather. So because there is basically nothing, it's going to display nothing. So this is what we want to do. We want to learn how to create this web page. That is for the beginner level. Another way you could open this is through your Visual Studio Code. Step 1, you click on terminal, as you can see along the tab bar, terminal, click on run active file. Once you tap on run active file, automatically the terminal is going to run basic.html through the default browser. If it shows, give it this red output, you just click on terminal. Basically yours is going to run once, but because of I've been using this, I have to click on a new terminal. If it doesn't go, click on a new terminal. Make sure you click on new terminal, then click terminal again, run active file. If you click run active file and it displays the error message, make sure you go back and click new terminal. As you can see, now it's opened, okay. And I suggest you use this method as it's very professionally used and the fastest basically. So again, you click terminal, click run active file. If run active file shows generate error, click new terminal. Alright, let's begin. Now we have an empty page. How do we start coding? Okay, how do we start coding? Now HTML, as we said, is the building block of a website. Without the HTML there is no website and basically web apps. And in modern technology as it is now, we have gotten to a level where HTML can also be used to design the front end of mobile apps and other software. Yes, HTML is used not only for website but for a whole new lots of different technologies. So how do we start typing HTML? HTML code syntax, that is how the code program language is written. When you talk about syntax simply talks about the behavior or the way program language is written. For Python, the syntax for Python is basically print and some other things. We call this English high level programming language. For other programming language, you might use symbol, add, to, and 3. This is mnemonics. All these are syntax. Alright. For HTML syntax makes use of tags. Alright. What do I call them? I call them tags. Okay. So tags are the basic building block of HTML. Alright. It is through tags that we are able to build HTML codes. Alright. So the first tag we open on an HTML page or on any website you're trying to develop is the doctype HTML. Now the doctype HTML has a function. It tells the browser the version of HTML you are coding, and if you look at the link description, you are learning version 5, which is HTML5. HTML5 comes with a whole new tags and new functionalities for the modern web 2.0 web. So web 2.0 features, because I know now we have web 3.0 and other new features. Okay, that's nice. So this doctype HTML can be typed in any order. This doctype could be capitalized, the HTML could be capitalized, both could be capitalized. It doesn't really matter. The most important thing is this tag must be complete. You can see this exclamation mark before the doctype. Okay, this must be present before the doctype HTML. This must be your first tag when building any website or any web app. Next, what are you coding? You're coding HTML. The tag you open is HTML. Now, as you can see, automatically my a text editor closed my tag. This is what we refer to as an open tag, and this is what we refer to as a closed tag. Alright, difference between an open tag and a closed tag is that the closed tag has a backslash before the tag name. Let's do this again. You have tag backslash HTML. Now HTML tag, this is where all our HTML codes are going to fall within. Every HTML code you are going to type, if it's thousands of lines, hundreds of code lines, it doesn't matter. Every of your tags must be written within this HTML tag and must not be out of the HTML tag. Alright, now HTML is divided, or the website as you may know it. No, let's not use the website. Let's focus on HTML, okay? Because some terminologies that work when they may have worked like 2-3 years ago may not work for this modern time. So let's focus on HTML. HTML, as we know, it is divided basically into three basic sections. The three basic sections: number one, you have the head. Number two, number one, you have the head. Number two, you have the body, and number three, you have the footer. Those are the three basic structure of HTML. Alright, so it's coming. I'm just launching my Word so I can able to type some important details. Alright, so three basic structures of the HTML. Number one, you have the head. Number two, you have the body. Number three, you have the footer. Basically, this is how a standard structure of a website should be arranged. The standard structure of a website should be arranged in this manner. Okay, you're talking about the head, the body, and the footer. This is how the structure of HTML to be. In this case, we're trying to ask the web page. You have the head. The head carries a lot of things. The head carries title, which is displayed on the web browser, carries links, carries metadata, and carries a whole lot of things which you are going to learn along the way of the course. The body is where every content are being placed. Contents, articles, tags, pictures, okay, pictures, audio, video, everything you see on the websites and the web app. The contents, the main thing that makes up the website, that is where they are all placed in the body using the right tags. The footer basically is the last page of any website. It mostly consists of links, redirective links majorly, logos, and some other things. In time, we're going to look at more of this, the footer. So, but for now, basically, we're going to focus on just the head and the body. The footer is going to be known as soon as we start treating CSS. And in the head, we're going to focus mainly on title. Take note, title only. Along the line, as we progress the course, we'll look at links, metadata, and other things that can be placed in the head. So for now, we're going to look at the head and body, and under head, we're going to focus on just title. Now let's move over to the head. Now after my HTML, I open the next tag, which is head, and I close it. Remember, the closing tag is always a backslash. Alright, it is very important you close your tags. If your tag is not closed, it's going to mess up your code. Now let's look at the output of our code in the browser. Let's look at the browser. This is the browser. This is basically where the content is going to show. This white place is where the content of the HTML is going to show. As you can see, this is the name of the file. Alright, the name of the file, basic.html, and you can see this is basically where this is the title bar, where the title of the page, this is the URL bar. This URL bar displays the location of the basic.html. As you can see, we save it in desktop, right? In desktop, and you have HTML practice, then the file name. This is the title bar. This is where the title of the page is going to show. But now we have not given it a proper title, and that is where the head tag comes in place. As I said earlier, the head tag consists of title, links, and metadata. So now, as I said, we're going to look at only title, and let's focus on title. in HTML or in web development, as you may call it, every of your codes or the syntaxes are prioritized on tags. If you want to create something, it's basically going to be created with a tag. As you can see, creating the head, I made use of tag. Now creating the title, I am also going to make use of a tag, and I'm going to just write title. Alright, automatically it closes it for me. Alright, so I'm going to save this using Ctrl S. Hold down Ctrl and strike S. So now, as you can see, this is saved. So as you can see, this is saved. So there are other things that are very vital that ought to be in the head region, but for now, since you are all beginner, let's start with something small. Right, so first of all, we want to try to output our name to the browser. Okay, we want to build our first website that displays a welcome text and our name. Okay, as simple as that. Let's start with that. So for the title, I'm going to name it, let's name it my first web page. Okay, save it. Alright, save it. Navigate to the browser. Simple, just take your cursor down. You don't need to do this. Then reload. Come up here and tap refresh, or you could just press Ctrl R. As you can see, the title, oh, I think I made a little typographic error here, sorry. Alright, reload. So as you can see, the title has been updated. So you have my first web page. This is the title bar giving us the title, my first web page. Good, very important. Titles are very used for search engine optimizations, and in time when you learn about that, you understand why titles are very important and why the right titles should be used. So for now, we're going to leave our head this way. I think it's okay this way. So we're going to just leave the head that way. So now we're done with the head. Now we move to the body, and as I said earlier, the body consists of content. This content could involve text, pictures, audios, videos, and so on and so forth. For this body, we're going to basically focus on text. Okay, on the body content, we're going to focus on the text. All right, that is writing documents, and this text is divided into the various sections. We have the paragraph tag, and we have the headers. Alright, we have the paragraph tag and we have the headers. The paragraph tag are basically tags that are used to create paragraphic documents. I believe you all understand what a paragraph is. A paragraph is basically a structure that consists of 4 or 5 lines of sentences. Okay, so paragraph tags are used to create paragraph. And we have headers, and these headers are basically used for creating subtitles, titles, and other functions. The headers consist of header 1 to 6, that is H1, sorry, small letter H1, H1 down to H6. Alright, so the sizes decreases down the group. H1 has the biggest size, followed by H2, H3, H4, H5 down to H6. But in web development, you are going to focus more on H1 to H3 because there are a lot of things CSS are going to cut out for you once you master CSS. So I'm going to just focus on using H1 to H3, but for your practice you can play along with H1 to H6. So now after the head, let's open our body tag. Now we have our body tag opened, and as I said, the body is the center of every content that makes up a website or web app. It is where the information is displayed, and for our first attempt we want to display a welcome message and our name. Alright, so like I said, content consists of a lot of things, and I explained text. Now let's focus on the text. For the text, we're going to make use of header and the paragraph tag, and as I said, the header has various sizes H1 to H6. So to make use of the header, we're going to open a tag called header1, and within this I'm going to write welcome. Okay, I'm going to open another tag header2 so you could see the size difference. This is my first web page. Alright, this is my first web page. So we have a heading, which is the H1, and we have a subheading, which is the H2. And you're going to see the size differences once I switch over to my browser. Now let's use the makings of the paragraph tag. So to make the paragraph tag, we used P. Alright, so the P stands for the paragraph, which is the paragraph tag. Header 1, which is H1, stands for the first header. Header 2 stands for the second header, down to header 6. You can practice down with header 1 to header 6 and see the various sizes. So for the paragraph, I'm going to write, my name is Michael. Alright, now one beautiful thing about this paragraph is that it works the same way the paragraph works. Alright, it works the same way the paragraph works. Alright, for each line have different paragraphs. Okay, so this is the first paragraph. Let's first of all view what we've created. So I go over to the web page and I reload. Alright, as you can see, welcome. This is the header 1 and this is the header 2, which is the subtopic. As you can see the size differences. The header 1 is slightly bigger and bolder than the header 2. It's going to be followed that way till it gets to header 6. Then you can see this is the paragraph tag, which is basically used for writing your normal text. Alright, your normal paragraphic text. My name is Michael. Now let's assume I want to write another line of paragraph. I will just simply go to the next line and open another paragraph tag and just write, I am a programmer. Alright, so you could have as many as paragraph tags as you want, or header tags, depending on what you are creating. Remember, you have to have a lot of creativity when it comes to web development. Alright, in this case you haven't started the programming aspect yet, so it's going to be called web designing. Okay, so you have to be very creative, knowing how to arrange your documents properly. So as you can see, you have 2 paragraph text on each line of paragraph. If you put this on the same, if I remove this, it's basically going to be on the same paragraph with my name is Michael. So congratulations, you have successfully created your first website. Alright, please, if you have any questions, feel free to drop it on the comment section. I will reply them as soon as possible. If you want to chat with me one-on-one, I'm going to drop a link in the video description to my WhatsApp group, so you could join the group and drop your questions and it will be treated as quickly as possible. Please take notes and practice what you've learned. Okay, you can't memorize codes. The best way is for you to keep practicing and have a thorough understanding of what each line section performs. Now we have the doc type HTML. As I said earlier, it is used to tell the browser the version of HTML you are coding. You have the HTML, where every HTML content are being coded within. And I said the HTML is divided into 3 basic sections, which is the head, the body, and the footer. And I told you that because of your basic level, we're going to focus mainly on the head and the body. And I told you that the head also entails of a lot of things. You have the title, you have links, metadata, and so. The body consists of content, and this content consists of text, videos, images, and so on. So for the body, we've mainly focused on the text, and we talked about the headers and the paragraphs. Okay, so you can just practice, change all this text, try and print out something, display them to the browser. You could type a whole document, you could type a lot of things, you could even write a composition about yourself for you to get used to it. Alright, please don't forget to subscribe. It's your subscription that will motivate me to keep bringing in more of these videos, and please stay tuned. Now we're going to move over to the next level of HTML programming. Alright guys, alright, welcome. So our last video, the last section, we learned how to create our first web page. Very nice. Now quickly, let's look over some other important tags, and these tags I refer to them as text formatting tags. Okay, they refer to as text formatting tags, right? So text formatting tags, these are tags that basically modify the elements of our HTML tag. Okay, when you look at a HTML tag in this format, this is automatically regarded to as an element. Okay, so this is an HTML element, and this also is another HTML element. under HTML block level element. So there are some tags that format, when I talk about format, I mean edit and modify each of these tags. We have them in various categories, so we're going to look over them. But in most cases, these tags might not be useful at some areas, because when you master CSS properly, you realize that you can use CSS to perform those same functions that each of those tags perform. Okay. Alright, so let's continue. So the various text formatting tags, let's look at them. So I'm just going to clear these two off. Let's focus on this. So this already is a tag, a paragraph tag. Automatically this has become an element, this is because this tag already has a value, so this qualifies this as an HTML element. Now let's look at some formatting tags. The first tag we're going to experiment is known as the break line tag. The break line or the breakthrough tag. The breakthrough tag basically creates space in terms of tab spaces from the first element to the second element, and the more of this tag you impute, it's going to create, the greater the space that is going to appear between them. For example, let's look at our code on the web. Okay, I have to run this. Alright. Okay, so as you can see, the space between welcome and I am a programmer is very great. If I go back and delete the last breakthrough tag and I reload this page, you can see the space has been depreciated. If I completely remove it, you can see that the space has been depreciated. So it's most times very useful when you are using it against block level elements and some other HTML elements in the future. But I don't advise you making it a regular practice. Like for example, making it you need to place space between two elements and you're like making BR tag multiplied by 5. No, there is a particular code for that in CSS. So if you were to use it, I don't advise you use at least more than 1 or 2, but professionally it shouldn't be used at all. But in most cases, there are some things that CSS find difficult to do, and as you know, you are a beginner, so for you to have understanding and make your project look good, I advise you make use of the breakthrough tag, but only once. Alright, another formatting tag we're going to look at. I know you're going to have questions. I closed other tags, but why is it this particular tag doesn't have a closing tag? Yes, it's not all tag that has a closing tag. The Doctor HTML tag doesn't have a closing tag, and also this breakthrough tag doesn't have a closing tag. Not all tags have closing tag. Another tag you can look at is the horizontal rule. The horizontal rule is a tag that basically creates a straight vertical line. Let's look at this. As you can see, you have a straight vertical line. If I copy this, alright, and I paste again, you're going to have another vertical line. Okay, so that's the function of the horizontal rule. And if I make a break line tag between the horizontal rule tag, you're going to have space between, as you can see. Okay, another formatting tag I'm going to work is this, so I'm going to copy this. Alright, copy. Another text formatting tag we have is the strong tag. The strong tag basically makes every element in between bold. Now as you can see, this is a block level tag, so I open the tag strong followed by the paragraph tag. Now in order for you to close this, in order to avoid confusion, because one thing you must note is that 3 or 5 tags can be opened together for one element, and one thing you need to understand is the closing aspect of it. Now this is your first tag, which is 1, 2. Okay, So in order for you to close this, you go in the order of the last one opened here, which is 2, and the other one, which is going to be 1. To explain this further, I open the tag 1, 2, 3. In order for you to close this tag, we start with 3, 2, 1. Okay, if I open 2 tags, 1, 2, to close this tag, 2, 1. If I open 4 tags, 1, 2, 3, and I place 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I place some elements between. If I want to close the tag, I will close it starting from 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so that's basically the format you should follow. As you can see, strong tag was opened here, followed by the paragraph tag, followed by this paragraph tag. Then you have I am a programmer, then closed the paragraph tag first, then close the strong tag next. Now let's look at the function of the strong tag. Alright, loading my browser. You see, you have to be a programmer, but look, it's appearing more bold. That's the function of the strong tag. It basically makes text appears bold. But as I said earlier, there are a lot of things CSS can do that will render most of this tag useless in the future. So for now, for fun and for education purpose, it's best you know these tags. The next we have is the emphasize tag, which is written as EM, emphasize tag. Okay, the emphasize tag, I'm going to put this element between. Let's look at what the emphasize tag does to an HTML element. An emphasize tag basically makes it appears in the italic form. The italic format, for those of you who are very familiar with word processor, the italic form basically slants or text written. So as you can see, our I am a programmer text, which is the paragraph text, has been slanted thanks to the emphasize tag. Now note that all these text formatting tags can be used against the text tags, the text format tags. And the text format tags consist of the headers and the paragraphs. You cannot make use of strong and emphasize against the head or the HTML or any other tags. You can make use of the text formatting tags against the text tags, which consist of the heads and the paragraph. Okay, take note. Alright, so now we have looked at strong and we have looked at the emphasize tag. Now let's look at another tag which is known as strike through. The strike through is written with S tag. The strike through text is very useful, and it's mostly used by those that develop e-commerce app. I'll show you why. Yeah, it creates a straight line on the text. It can most times be used for creating price. Let's say between this P, I want to create a price tag, and I say $400. Can you see? So maybe this was the old price, and I want to create a new price discount. Very useful. So this is the strike through tags. So basically these are the extra tags which you ought to know and to make use with your practice. Alright, advice at this beginning stage, you shouldn't try watching the video all through. You can download it, save it, or keep coming watching in any format you want to use. But I advise you take your time and revise each sections and try to create something in order for you to master this section. The first section, I expected you should try to create write a web page about yourself. Now I advise you write a web page about yourself. Now applying these new text formatting tags which you use, so you should be able to know where to be bold, where to be emphasized, where to be strike through. Just make use of it. Alright, be creative, create a reasonable documentation. Alright, don't just watch this video like it's a movie. No, for each section you learn something new. Pause the video, open up your editor, type code. Alright, revise it, go the next day. I advise you take this video for a week span, 2 week span, a month span. It's not compulsory you try to learn HTML under 1 hour. It's not possible. Learning, mastering, and applying are 3 different things. Okay, so without much wasting of our time, we're going to go through the next topic. So revising, we went through the strong tag, which basically does this. When we looked at the emphasize tag and the strike through, horizontal rule, and the break line, and we understood that some tags do not have a closing tag. Alright, the doc type HTML tag, head horizontal rule, the breakthrough tag do not have closing tag, and in the future we're going to learn some other tags that do not have closing tag. Alright, so this tag here stands for strike through tag. You have the emphasize tag and the strong tag. There are other tags, but due to the advancement of HTML5, those tags do no longer work. For example, we once had the center tag and others, but those tags are now rendered useless thanks to HTML5. Alright, so now I'm just going to clean this up, given that you've written it on your notes, jot down. Alright, now empty, and I reload, empty. Now we want to learn something different. Okay, so I'm just going to change this title to the next topic which we want to focus on, which is known as HTML comments. Yes, what are comments? Basically, comments are format that helps us that tells us more about our code, not just us, but also it tells the programmer which may visit your code in the next future to understand what each of your function of your code was meant for. Comments is categorized under program documentation. And when you talk about program documentation, this is a very professional and a proper way of maintaining your code, maintaining your program, describing your program, protecting your program. Program documentation is done through comments. Alright, comments. Every programming language have their various comments. Alright, so for HTML comments, we're going to look at it, and from now on, throughout the line of our code, I'll be making use of comments to explain some important facts, some important functions, or some important section of our code. Comments are very, very important. It not only helps you as the developer, but other developers that might visit your code. All right. So for more ideas on comments, you can Google search and know more program documentation and understand what program documentation is all about, and you understand that program documentation is one of the good features of a good program. All right. So let's see. We have a header. We have a header one tag, and within it we have hello world. Okay, and the next page I want to write an article, and I start my name being Michael. I am a certified developer, and I love coding. Now let's say if, for example, a newbie was to visit this code and he goes through this code, he's like, oh my god, what is this doing? I don't understand. What is this code doing? Like, I don't just understand it. This is where commenting comes in. Okay, this is where commenting comes in. Alright, so I'm going to start from here. Now, how do we create comments? First of all, let's understand how to create comments. It's very simple. Remember, HTML syntax works with tags, so you should know that everything in HTML is going to be in line with tags. Okay, tags are the syntax to which you write your HTML code. This is the only format which you can write your HTML code. Okay, so you open your tag, and I'm going to have an exclamation mark here. All right, then you're going to have two hyphens, then the comments. The comments could be any statement, then this, and close the tag. This is a proper way of creating a HTML comment. Alright, now let's apply it. So I'm going to start from the beginning to explain to the future newbie that may want to see this code. Explain to you what's coding. This is a simple project. Now if you notice, it appears different than from other text. It's because the interpreter, so you know, the text editor, understands that this line section is just a comment and it's not going to run into the browser. No, we are not going to see this into the browser. No, you won't. Alright, let me show you. Every programming language has its comments, and you will never ever see the comment in the browser. As you can see, the comments will never appear in the browser or appear in the code, depending on what programming language you are using. Alright, the comment doesn't run through. The comment basically explains the code, so it is for the developer's eyes only. Alright, so automatically anyone that sees this code will know that alright, this is a simple project, alright, that talks about Michael. So it is one thing for you to comment your code, it's another thing for you to write a proper documentation. Your documentation must be well explanatory. You should try now, from now, to start to be creative. You're not just in artistics, but in literaries. Okay, writing, content development. You should try to be much more explanative with your words. All right, so there is no room for laziness. So all right, so I've explained what the code does, but now the person has to know what each line does. So basically, the body, the title, the head, we know that anybody who opens this kind of code should definitely be a developer, so he should know what the doc type and what the HTML and head stands for. But let's look at the basic things of the code. The basic things of the code. First, we had the greeting, right? Alright, so we're going to have simple greetings. Then what followed the greetings? We had a simple statement, right? So a simple statement about me, or about the developer. Alright, so this is a well proper comment, and if you refresh your page, you see that the comment doesn't appear on the web page, because comments would never run with the code. No, it is basically used for developers' eyes only. So one thing about comments is it makes your code rememberable. So whenever you come back to your code, it makes it readable. All right, helps you maintain your code. It gives you the professional outlook. Okay, you can see this is just a few lines of code, basically looking. It's basically just consists of basic codes, but you see the comments gives it a different looks, a different feel. Okay, so you should make use of the habit of practice comments. So that's why for the rest of the course I'm going to be making use of comments. Okay, so let's just give this a fixed comment. This is for HTML practice tutorial. Alright, so that will be fixed. We're not going to touch this. So now I believe everyone have developed a great sense of comments, and I hope you start applying comments. So I'm going to delete this, given that you've taken proper notes and you've practiced it. If you have any question regarding comments or program documentation, feel free to drop it in your questions in the comment section or in the WhatsApp platform. And please, once again, do not forget to like this video, share and subscribe. Alright, okay, now next we want to look at attributes. Yeah, attributes. It's one thing for we to write paragraphs. Yeah, good, we know you've written text, we've viewed it. Yeah, but it's so boring. Like, why can't we do something special? You know, something special, you get. So this is what we're going to do now. Basically, what I'm about to teach you should not be practiced on a daily basis. Yeah, it's going to be useful and effective now, but in time it's going to be rendered useless. Okay, so don't worry, as we move on to the video you're going to understand. So I'm just going to give this, as usual, welcome. Okay, so now what we want to achieve is we know how to format this text, but we want to learn how to format this text in terms of the styling. Okay, changing the color, changing the position. Now all this basically is handled properly with CSS, but you know, everyone wants to jump into the action. So HTML gives us some particular techniques used in styling our elements without CSS. But note, it is not to be practiced and be used for professional use. It is just for you to have the sense of coloring and more artistic education. Time as we advance into CSS, we are going to make use of CSS styles only. Now let's understand what attributes is. Now we know what are tags. Okay, we know tags are the basic block of HTML, and for example, typical example of a tag is the paragraph tag, which basically allows us to create documents, paragraphic document sentences. And we know that this is the open tag, and the closing tag would be this, right? So, and you have this to be the closing tag, right? As simple as that. Now, and we know once you have this, I am a boy, closing the paragraph, this automatically makes this an element. Okay, another thing, now this makes an element. Now when you talk about attributes are just special features, okay, those special features that allows you to do extra modification to HTML elements. Okay, now HTML elements, I am a boy. Now when you want to make use of the attribute comes right after the tag. Okay, for example, I have the paragraph tag and I want to give an attribute to this paragraph tag or this paragraph element, as the case may be. As I said, it creates extra formatting features to these elements. We have different all sorts of attributes, and in time we will look at them more. We have the header reference, which is used for importation of or redirection of links. We have source, which is used to find a particular file. We have style, which is basically allows us to use some of the CSS basic property, and so on and so forth. As we move on, we're going to learn more of these attributes. For today, we're going to focus on style. Alright, the style attribute. The style attribute, this helps us to use the CSS properties. Some of the CSS properties do, because HTML knows that you want to start coloring your web document, so you need to get into the action. So it creates room for this attribute that allows you to make use of the CSS properties. Alright, like I said, this is not a conventional means of writing or for styling your web pages, but just for practice only. And in time, as we move on, I will disbound this. I will start making use of CSS. Okay, so how do we use an attribute? Basically, there is a formula. For your tag, you have space and you have the attribute. Now the attributes, every attribute, if it's style, if it's header reference, if it's source, or whatsoever it may be, or link, rel, whatever, must be followed by the equal sign. The equal sign will then have the properties and the value. That is what you are importing, what this attribute is going to import, or what this attribute is going to entail. Alright, and remember, the attribute is going to be affecting your tag. Everything that belongs to this attribute, alright, that you import, that is relative to this attribute, will be affecting your tag. Now for style, as I said, style is going to basically change and modify the behavior and appearance of this tag. So this style is going to be used to access CSS properties that will be used to modify this. Okay, now for every attribute, once you have the equal sign, you're going to have the double quotes. Within this double quote is where every of the properties which are going to be used will be placed in. Now, as you know, every property is going to have a value. For example, let's start with something simple. Color is a CSS property, and the value for this color is red. Okay, red. So red is the value, and color is the value, and color is the CSS property. Let's try this. Alright, so I'm going to try for welcome, header one, and I'm going to put the style attribute, and I'll say color property, and I'm going to put red. Alright, now you notice the semicolon. If you are going to make use of just one property, then you can remove the semicolon. The semicolon has a reason and a function to be there, but for now let's look at this since we're making use of just one property. So we've told the browser that for this style attribute, okay, this style attribute, that's going to be okay, so you can see this attribute and the style element. So you see, allowing quick styling for testing purpose, as you can see, for testing purpose. So it's not actually basically used for professional purpose. So this style is going to import this CSS property, which is the color, and it's going to modify this element, which is welcome. So set the element to what color? Red. Okay, and this is the value for this property. Now the value and the property is separated by something, as you can see, which is what? The full column. Okay, the full column. The full column is what separates the CSS property and the CSS value. Take note, and there is no space between. No space between. Even if there's space, yes, but for now you want to make sure you're very careful. You're a beginner, so there shouldn't be any space between. So let's run this and see some few quick magic. Good. Now welcome has been changed to red color. All right, thanks to this style attribute. Now let's say that I want to add extra CSS property, but first let me just give you some few CSS properties that you may need to know. All right, let's just leave some few CSS properties, and I will also drop some documentation on this on the WhatsApp group. Basic CSS properties. All right, so one, we have color, and you know the values, that's the name of the color. We have font size, and font size properties consist of numbers ranging from 0 to 100, and they have SI units such as pixels, rems, etc. So for example, I want to set font size of an element, I could just say 30 pixel, and in our code we're going to look at that. Okay, all right. So 3, we have margin, and this margin have different types. You have the margin left, the margin right, the margin top and bottom. But basically, if you are very good, you only make use of the margin top and left, and to make use of that, it can be written as this: margin left, then you have the value, which also makes use of pixels or percentage. All right, percentage is greater than pixel. You have margin left, you could also have margin top. The same way, as you can see, the CSS property is separated from this value with a column rather. Good. And every of these properties must be placed inside the double quotes, and when I go back to the code, you will understand those double quotes and how I'm going to place them in margin. Another one you need to know is the padding. The padding, for example, let me explain the padding. Now if you look at your laptop screen, these edges you see here, all right, this edge, okay, let's make it over here. You see this place, this edge, this white space, all right, towards this paper, towards this wallpaper, this place, all right, and this other place to where my cursor is. This place refers to the margin. Okay, so this is the margin right, and this is the margin left, and this will be the margin top, and this will be the margin bottom. So this is what we use to adjust the margin of an element. Okay, in time as we practice, you understand how when we begin to use margin. So you can see that the margin here on the left is equivalent to the margin here on the right. Okay, so that is basically, this is what we call a perfect margin. Why the padding? Inside this paper now, you can see this space here, the space from this line to this CSS, and from this line here towards the end here, this place is going to be regarded to as the padding. All right, so you can see that here has a smaller pixels or length of padding, and here has a greater length of padding. So this is the padding. So the internal spaces of an element will basically be the padding, which is the space between the elements, and the external spaces are regarded to as the margins. And the margins to work the same way, padding work the same way, the left, the right, top and bottom. All right, the same way the margin works. Another one you're going to look at is border radius. You have border, and you also have border radius. When you talk about border talks about the edge. If you look at your laptop, you have this edge around your laptop screen, right? Those are the border. If it's a book, if it's a television, if it's a phone, the border edges are regarded as the border radius. You can set the radius on how curvy or our edge is going to be. As we look more on that on the practicals, you have more understanding of that. So for now, we're going to be making use of just these 5 properties along the line. Okay, and if we ever need, so all right, another important one we need to know is text align. Text align helps us to align our elements in any position. We have left, right, and center. So basically these are the only 6 CSS properties you will need to know for now. All right, for this basic period of learning. When you get to CSS, you are going to learn more and more CSS properties. But if you are going to be in the WhatsApp group, I'm going to drop all the list of every CSS properties and their value. Yes, it's going to be a very long list, so you have to write it, copy it down, jot it down, and just get yourself ready for CSS. And you can use it to practice also, for you to have understanding of them and how they work. Please take note, CSS properties can be very confusing. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Now let's go back to our code and apply those things. Now we have just one property here. Okay, so color, the property, and the value, and they are separated by the column. Now I want to add another property, which is going to be font size. To separate them, we make use of the semicolon. So semicolon, then I'm going to add another one, which is font size. And as I said, font size, you could have it in pixels or in percent. So I'm just going to set this to 30 pixel. Okay, 30 pixel. So let me eliminate this space here to make it traceable. As you can see, we have 2 properties now. You have color and its value, and you have font size and its value. Notice there's an hyphen here, so you don't want to make a mistake of leaving space. Can you see? Error. So there shouldn't be space between that. We have font size, different property, and you have its value. But these 2 properties are inside something. What is that? The double quote. Okay, if one of these quotes is missing, the code is going to be rendered useless, as you can see. All right, so make sure that your properties are inside the double quote. Okay, so style, for every attribute there must be written in this manner. Assuming I was to write another attribute, which is the header reference, is going to be the same way too. Okay, and it's going to have every of its value inside, every of its properties of value inside this quote, this double quote. Okay, so that's the formula for attribute. Attribute equals to the double quotes, and every properties must be written inside the double quote. Each properties are separated by what? Semicolon. Why? The properties and its values are separated by what? Column. As easy as that. Now let's check our new CSS property. Alright, it's still not enough, so I'm going to increase this to 70 and let's see how that goes. Alright, as you can see, it became bigger. Alright, now I want to make this welcome here. Alright, right here in the middle, the center. So to do that, I'm just going to come here again and type, remember, text align. Remember in our documentation I gave that, you can see it here, text align, and we're going to use the value center. Okay, text align center. Okay, so we have 3 properties now. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Alright, so let's see. Good, perfect. Now welcome is in the center. Now let's look at this army boy. Now it's looking, far away, so let's just do something about it. So we're going to come here. Now I want to modify p. Now you notice that I'm using the attribute style to header 1 tag and p tag. Yeah, there are some tags that can use this and there are tags that cannot use this. Okay, without that, let me add another properties for you, which is background color. Background color, the same, works the same way with color, but background color basically will be much more effective with the body or with a div element. Okay, so this style attributes can be used for all tags except the following tags. The doc type HTML tag cannot use that attribute. The HTML tag cannot also make use of the style attribute. The head tag cannot make use of that style attribute. The title tag cannot make use of that tag, but the body tag can make use of the style attribute. Yes, the body tag can. Alright, let me show you. So I'm going to set the body style, and I just want to create background color. That's all. And I want to say background color should be black. Okay, black. So we are going to have just one property. So whether the semicolon is there or not, it doesn't matter, but the semicolon must be present if you are going to have more than one property. Okay, as I said, this is not a professional way of styling. This is just for practice and for testing purpose only. All right, so running our web. All right, we have this, but look, our text has disappeared. All right, because the color is the same with the background. So we're going to make this stand out. So we're going to first of all give it one property, color, and we'll give it a value white, and we want to move it towards the center. Remember one of the tags I gave you, margin left. So margin left, we're going to use 10. Okay, no, let's make use of 5%. I love making use of percent, not to pixels. It's faster and it's better to me for responsiveness and other purpose. All right, so as you can see, but it's still too small, so we're going to do something. We're going to add another property. So it's going to be font size. So the font size, we're going to make it 22 pixel. All right, now if you notice, our properties are enclosed in the double quotes and they are inside the tag. Do not forget, they are inside the tag. Immediately after the header, you have the attributes and everything must be inside the tag. As you can see, the tag is still here. All right, you don't want to make a mistake and the tag is out here. Okay, you can see it's going to generate an error. So you can see the tag must be at that position. Okay, then you have the elements in the center and you have the tag closed. But it's important that the tag is closed. Imagine, all right, I didn't close header tag. Let's see how it's going to affect our code. Can you see? Now I am a boy is in the center. Why? Because I'm a boy is also taking the property of this. Assuming there was no color here, I'm a boy is going to also be given a color. Let me prove it to you. Can you see? So that is important. That's why it's important for you to always close in your tags. So always make sure your tags are closed if you don't want your code to be messed up. All right. So loading this. Now I am a boy is readable, and we have welcome, and we have the background to be black. All right. So this is a basic standard web page. All right. So I'm guessing you should be happy now. You've learned how to actually create a website. That's nice. So my next video is going to be for those without the system, and we're going to be using a mobile phone. So I'm going to be doing the video on a mobile phone. So please try and follow up. All right. I will also advise that you also watch this video, because this will be much more explanative, but the mobile is going to just be focusing on using the mobile to build HTML websites, and the apps that I'm going to use must be downloaded. Okay. All right. So you can practice with any of these CSS properties. Hope they are written down. Practice with them, use them. If you have question or problem using them, you can drop them in the comment section, or you can basically message me on the WhatsApp platform, which the link is going to be placed in the video description. All right, so these are the basic CSS properties you can play with and work with to create different projects. So by now, you writing an article is going to be looking very colorful and very nice. Now the next step for you to learn concerning this is knowing the right colors to mix. And when you get to CSS, you're going to learn the rules of colors and UI UX design. UI basically consists of the user interface, the rules, and the colors not to use. Alright, so we're going to delete this. Alright, just delete this. Now we want to learn something. Now we've learned how to create paragraphs. Good, very nice, very nice. We've learned how to create write-ups on the website. We've learned how to create a web page basically, which is very nice and awesome, and I'm sure some of you guys are all excited, very excited. It's very nice. Now list of movies. Good. Now we want to learn how to create something different. Okay, now here I have a list, right, and I want to create a list of movies, and some of you are going to feel so smart. You can be like, okay, we could just do this way. All right, let me just come down here and write the P tag. Yeah, we'll write number 1, then we'll write the name of the movie. All right, we have Mortal Kombat. Okay, nice. And you run the code, you're like, yeah, I have a list. Solves the problem. Yeah, but wrong. As I said, HTML has every functions for each of those tags you want. So to carry out that task, we're going to make use of the list tag. Yes, the list tag. So given that you're all taking these notes, I'm just going to delete this. Yeah, HTML list used basically for creating list elements. And HTML have three types of lists, basically three types. You have the unordered list, which is the very popular list, UL. You also have the definition list, which is written as DL, and you have the ordered list, OL. These are the three types of lists. Now let's say I want to make use of one of this type of list, and let's say I want to make use of the ordered list, which is OL. Okay, and I make use of the ordered list. Now in order for me to list my elements, I would make use of the list tag, and the list tag is written as LL. So I'm going to like write my list, rise, close my list tag. I'm going to go to my second list. I'm going to go to my second list, and I'm going to type my corn, close my list. Then let's say I'm done listing what I want, then I close the type of list I opened. This is a complete structure of a list. All right, if it's a definition list, you could just change it here. All right, if it's an unordered list, the same way. All you have to do is, the first thing you need to do is to open the tag of the type of list which you want to make use of, then list your elements within the type of list tag. As you can see, it is listed within, and it must be written in this structure. All right, your code structure are very important. That's something you should take into consideration when typing your code. Okay, then now I'm listed all the elements. All right, and I listed two elements using the list tag. All right, the list tag is written as li and must be closed immediately after you listed the elements. Okay, all right, now let's practice this. Now I want to create a list of movies. So in order for me to understand the types of lists properly, I'm going to make use of the three lists. All right, so list of movies, I'm going to create three lists, as you can see. Now li, list our first element. Mortal Kombat. All right, our second list. Dawn of Justice. And for the third, I'm just gonna say The Vengeance. All right, save. Okay, so we're done. We're done with this list. Okay, we're done. All right, so I'm just gonna type here. I'm just gonna put this into brackets. All right, on another list. Okay, so remember, as I said, we're going to make use of comments, so don't forget. I didn't forget. So alright, this is a sample of another list. So yeah, we want to create a sample too of another type of list, so you're able to see how the difference. So this is the sample. Alright, so types of or example of food, just any, you can use anything. So order listing. I'm just writing this order list and order list so that you're able to see it in the output, so you understand the output. So let's run the code and see. So this is an ordered list, as you can see. Basically has this bullet dots. See, now it's a perfect list and style is different. So you have list of movies. So this is for unordered list. You have Mortal Kombat, Dawn of Justice, The Avengers. Now types of food, which is ordered list. Let's work on that. Now you can also make use of the style attributes too with this list. Yes, you can do that, but I'm not going to do that. You can do that on your own for self-practice. I'm not going to focus on styles till we get to CSS tutorial. Okay, but if you want to practice, maybe you want to create a colorful list, you can make use of the style attribute and the color CSS properties which you know of. Okay, so alright, I'm going to make use of the ordered list. Okay, so rice. Okay, so to make this faster, I'm just going to copy this. Okay, beans. Sorry. Alright, notice. So this is a sample of another list. So let's quickly create a sample of definition list. I'm just going to copy this. Alright, use space, and this is a sample of. I'm going to create a sample of definition list. Alright, so we're going to just change this to DL. Alright, so you have the unordered list sample, ordered list sample, and definition list sample. Now let's see the code output. Wow, alright. So the unordered list basically consists of bullets, ordered list, your number 1 to 3 configuration, and types of food is basically the same thing with unordered list, but the difference is the margin. Alright, you can see that the margin is very significant to basically 0. This is having a margin of basically 2 to 5 pixel. That will be 1%. So that's just the difference between the unordered list, definition list, and ordered list. They are ordered list styles, but they can be modified using CSS coding. So for now, you just have to focus and rely on these 3 awesome list styles. Okay, if you have any questions concerning lists, you can drop it on the WhatsApp platform or in the comment section below. Alright, now we want to enter a very vital topic. Remember, try to practice each and every topics we've been treating. Okay, try to have understanding of them, try to practice them, use them. That's the only way you can take in what you're coding. Alright, so we've done HTML list. Oh, forgot to update this title. So now we want to look at links. Links are very fun actually. Alright, so let's just update this. Alright, so as you can see, this has changed. Sorry, let me close this. So this is it, HTML links. It has changed. Links are very fun. Let's imagine that you have 2 pages and you want to go from one page to another. Okay, from one page to another. It's very easy. It's mostly used in multi-page websites. Okay, so to practice this, these are the following rules you need to know about links. Okay, links are written, first of all, links are written with the anchor header tags, the anchor header reference. Okay, the anchor tag, basically anchor tag is used to create a list, a link element. Every or any element in HTML can be created or can be modified to serve as a link. Picture, video, text, buttons, and whatsoever. So for this practice, we're going to make use of button and a text, so you'll be able to know how to apply them. Any element can become a link once you apply the anchor tag. So the anchor tag is used to create link elements, and the anchor tag is written with A. Alright, now in order for this to work properly, the anchor tag has an attribute. Remember what attributes are, right? Remember when we treated one of the attributes is style. For this attribute, we are going to treat the header reference, and the header reference is written as this. Okay, so the header reference is an attribute that helps us to source for the location of the file, or the file which anchor is going to link to. Okay, it could be external, it could be created, it could be an API or so ever, given that it's basically a link. So this is where the URL is going to be. Now to make this together into full code, we have anchor header reference, which is the attribute, remember, followed by a quote, right? Then let's say we have the page, which is going to be the URL, okay, and this is basically a link, and let's say we are turning a paragraph P, which has a value of click me, into a link, and we close down the paragraph P, and we close down the anchor tag. Okay, so this URL could be an external URL. Maybe you want to link to www.facebook.com/login, or you just want to link to something you've created. That's the name of the page you created, maybe second page.html. Now if you are going to do this, you must make sure that your pages are enclosed in the same folder. Okay, your pages are included for the full folder. So all pages linked in a HTML file must be in the same folder. Okay, must be in the same folder. The folder is where we created, the folder we created in the beginning, where we saved our code. So every pages which are going to be linked together, every resources you are going to make use in your web page, they must, each and every one of them must be in the same folder, must be saved in the same folder. If they're not saved in the same folder, it's going to create some problems, and professionally they ought to be in the same folder. Okay, so to revise this, we said to create a link, we make use of the anchor tag, and the anchor tag creates a link element. So that means once the anchor tag is placed on an element, as you can see here, click me, which was just an ordinary text, became a link. Immediately the anchor tag was placed on it, and to let the anchor tag to direct click me to somewhere, we make use of the header reference, which gave us the URL. Now let's practice this. So I'm just going to create a header 2, and I'm going to just type page 1. All right, this is our first page, page 1, and I'm going to create a P element, a paragraph element. Please be sure that your tags are not in capital letter, don't make that mistake. So I'm just going to type click me to visit page 2. Now let's run this and see what it looks like. Now we click it, nothing is happening. It's basically a text, not even a link. Okay, it's the text. Alright, because it's going nowhere. So in order to make this a text, we're going to add the anchor tag. Now we're going to add a, alright, so header reference, which is href. As you can see, header reference is an attribute, so you must make sure that everything, the resources are written within the codes. So I'm going to close down the anchor tag here. As you can see, remember our rules of closing tags. Alright, anchor is 1, paragraph is 2, so paragraph 2 1. Okay, ascending order, descending order. That is the rule and the principle you should follow. Ascending order, descending order. So where should click me page take us to? Automatically, once I put this anchor tag to this element, it automatically turns this element to a link. Alright, let's visit our web page and see it. Okay, so so automatically it has rendered this a link, but it links nowhere. Right, it just keeps loading nowhere, because in our reference we have not specified where we want click me to take us to. So that's where you have to create a new page. So I'm just going to go to the file and create a new file. We're creating a new HTML file. Select your language, HTML. Make sure that it's saved in the same folder. So I'm going to just press save. If you follow the same pattern that which I followed, you are going to be saving in the same folder, which was the HTML practice, and you can see the original first folder we created, which is the basic.html. So I'm going to name this page 2.html. Now to confirm that both of them are in the same folder, we're just going to go straight to my desktop screen. Okay, so alright, both of them are here. So let me just quickly show you a brief example of how the links work. Okay, so I'm just going to go over to one of my projects. Okay. Alright, so this is a full developed standard website or web page, as you may call it. Okay. So this is a link. Alright, this button links to a different whole new page, as you can see. Alright, this is Autotech Industries standard website, still under development. Alright, you have read more, takes you down straight to this, which where the workers are going to be. Alright. Okay, this is also a link for a form that adds to a field. This is a link that links to different social medias. Okay, so we don't want to do this. No. Our services, this is a link that links somewhere else. Okay, so this is how link works. Okay, it changes pages. Alright, you can see this is a DOM loading, so this doesn't load, it loads within the page. So this is how link works. Okay, this is how link works. This is what you're about to learn. This is a full website. It also works that way in apps. Okay, I'm going to look for an app. Okay, alright, this was recently designed for an app, so I'm just going to use the inspect to show the app rendering display. If you want the app, I can send you the APK on the WhatsApp platform. All you need to do is to ask for it to see. So this button to also link somewhere, but if all folders are not filled here, it generates an error. So basically, links are not just used for website, they are used for every software as long as they are navigating to another page. Now let's create our page 2. Okay, now we have page 2.html. Now let's go back to our basic and we just click page 2.html. Now we've told the anchor tag to navigate. Please click me with this tag elements. All right, this paragraph element to navigate paragraph elements to what? Page 2.html, which is this that we've not written anything in. All right, so let's just save this, navigate to the browser, reload. Now once we click on page 2, it takes us to page 2.html, as you can see. All right, so if I go to this navigation bar, we go back to page 1. All right, but we don't want to make it of this, so we want to create a more automatic means. So this is, so now we go to page 2 and let's quickly type our format. All right, so for speed, I'm just going to make use of a simple fast trick. Okay, if you want to know what I did about that trick, you can drop your comment section, drop the question in the comment section. I'll provide answer. So this is page 2. So you don't need to know about the rest of this meta. Basically we are going to learn it soon, so you can just ignore it. So to avoid confusion, I'm just going to remove it. Alright, so I've given it page 2. Now in the body, let's create a header that tells us, alright, this is page 2, this is page 2, and now let's create a element that navigates back to page 1. So I'm going to create a button. This is the tag. I forgot to show you guys the button. So this button is going to navigate us back to page 1. So I'm just going to write navigate to the home page. Alright, so basically this is just a button. We've not made it a link yet, so it can't do anything. So this is page 1. If I click this is page 2. So we have the button here, but the button is not going to do anything because it's just an element. It's not yet a link. So we're going to come here, just highlight this. Alright, cut, Ctrl X. Now create an anchor tag. Alright, header reference page 2.html. Alright, then place the elements that we want to be navigated. Oh no, not page 2.html, sorry, basic. Remember, we're navigating back from page 2 to basic. Why? Basic is navigating to page 2, alright, and page 2 is navigating to basic. Alright, this is just the main difference. Alright, so now we have created a connection between these two HTML files. That's why both of them must be in the same folder. Alright, so then this, now if we click this, it navigates us back to page 1. We click this, navigates back to page 2. So as you can see, I made it of a button, I made it of a paragraph tag. Anything can be, any elements can be used to create a link. Alright, it just depends on how you apply it. Alright, once an anchor tag is applied on an element, it becomes a link. right? So we basically created a link between two pages. So you can work on a project, maybe create an article that talks about types of fruits, and you write about them. Now that you've learned lists, okay, this can be very easy for you. I'll just give you a hint. You have types of fruits and you have the list. You could just, maybe you're making use of another list, and you could just have list number 1, which is going to be mango. Then after that you have the paragraph, okay, with some dummy text. Alright, you have mango, so and so. Alright, so like that. So you could okay, for this you don't make use of, you make use of the ordered list for professional listing. So you should know the type of list you have to use for your document. So that when you imagine this was a blog, okay, so you have mango, about mango. You guys can also have it the same way too. Alright, so if you copy this, alright, I'm just gonna copy this, and if I paste it here and I paste too, you have the same thing. So is that, so this is basically a blog, and you could have a button here saying page 2. Alright, then you click going to the next page, continue talking about fruit. Alright, you can just work on those projects to be able to expand your initiatives on how to apply your thinking abilities and what you've learned in this video tutorial. Alright, start applying them, start coding. Okay, I hope you've learned some significant amount of knowledge on HTML. So our next sorry I haven't been making use of the comments, yeah, please, because of I'm actually trying to cover up a lot of time and trying to follow a scheme. Try and make sure that you work with your comments, and in time I will also work with it. Comments are very important, so please do not forget to use it, especially if you are working on a big project. So since I'm making use of reusable page, so I will try to make use of just the first comments which we created at the beginning, which is this. So I'm going to just leave this here, so at least to vouch to my statement where I said I'm going to make use of the promise. So the promise, sorry, this is not JavaScript, to make use of the comments. Alright, so next we want to look at HTML image, HTML audio video, HTML forms, and HTML5 special tags, and then we should be rounding off with HTML. Now please make sure you practice and make sure you code with the little knowledge you have. So now we're going to go to the next chapter, which is going to be images. Alright guys, so now let's move forward. Now we want to create images. Yes, we want to learn how to import image into our website or web app, as the case may be. So excuse me. Alright, so just like links, also every materials or references that you're going to be using in HTML, web development, web app, even if it's app development, every resources must be in the same folder. Alright, if it's going to be arranged in subfolders, just make sure that each of those subfolders are placed in the same folder. So now for practice, I'm going to select an image and place in our HTML practice. So let me just look for a quick image we could use. Alright, so we're going to use this picture, so I'm just going to copy it and paste it inside the same folder. So I'm going to rename it. Right click on it and just come straight down to rename, and just name it image. Alright, so we have our image placed in the same folder, so we can use it. Alright, back to our code. So most times you visit websites, and if you did practice the types of fruit project assignment I gave, you realize that this tutorial concerning the image is going to help beautify your last project, because now you're going to learn how to import pictures. Alright, most websites consist of images, audios and videos, so now you want to learn how to manipulate your web pages with pictures. Alright, now let's begin. It's not that hard. All we need to do is to know the tag. Alright, and the tag is image. Alright, written as img, the image tag. Alright, and that's it. Now the image tag has an attribute. Remember, we treated attributes last time, and so far we've gone across two attributes. We're going to address the style attribute and the header reference. The next one I want to go over is the source attribute. Okay, the source attribute is written as src. So when you have image, you're saying source from where. You're going to find the location of the image, which is going to be the name of the image dot the extension, whether it's jpg or png. So we're going to write dot extension, so name of the image dot the extension, and this is how the image tag is going to look like. All right, so I'm just going to write image source. All right, and the name of the image, make sure to type it and know the extension of the image dot jpg. Some images could be in different formats. So saving this, if we're looking up to the web, yes, our image is here. Now how can we manipulate this image? That is, arrange the width, arrange the height, move it. We can achieve that using the style attribute. Do not forget. Alright, so we're back again with style attribute, and as you can see, my tag is having more than one attribute. Yes, you can have more than one attribute. I'm just going to fix this. Okay, so your tag can have more than one attribute, irrespective that your attributes are enclosed in your code. You're good to go. So I'm just going to use style. Let's say we want to centralize the image, so make it of margin left, and we just want to move it towards the left, so give it margin left 10%. You can make it of percent or pixel. Alright, it's not enough, so let's make it 25%. Alright, almost there. I think 30 should do the trick. Alright, perfect. So it's center. Alright, now we want to reduce the height and width a bit. Now remember, for each CSS property and the value, they must be separated with a column. Alright, a semicolon. So now this is a new CSS property. It's not part of the ones I gave, so this can be added to your library. Height has various XR units. The height property, depending on how you want to use it and which one serves your purpose, you could have it as pixel, you could have it as percentage, you could have it as rem, you can have it as one vertical height, depending on which one serves your purpose. So but for image, I'm going to make use of pixel. So the height, let's set it to 40 pixel, and width, alright, width, we'll set it to 40 pixel also. Alright, so we can see image has been reduced to a very significant size. So I'm going to use percentage since pixel will not be strong enough. So now let's see if percentage is going to work for our image. Alright, so this is percentage. Alright, so let's reduce the width down to 20. You can see, so increase the width back to 40. Alright, now let's use border radius. Okay, we've not made use of that, so I'm going to separate it to semicolon. So remember border radius. Good, yes, we have border and we also have border radius, but for now let's focus on border radius. So the border radius works with numerical value. So for this, I'm going to use, it works with numerical by 1 to 100, and the SI unit is either percentage. The following values you see here can be used, but the most commonly used is percentage and pixel. So I'm going to use pixel, so I'm going to set it on 10 pixel. Now see what border radius is going to do to the image. Alright, you see this corners has been given this round attribute shape, right? If I let's see what happens if I set the border radius to 100%. Right, 100%, and this is what happens. The image now has been reduced to a perfect circle. Alright, can you see? So good. So that is the main function of the border radius. Now let's make use of border. Alright, so border, you have border line, you have the border width, you have the border style and the border color. Now all these three properties can be wrapped up in a short code format into one property, which can be written as border 1 pixel stands for the border width, border style solid, you have solid, you also have dotted, and so other styles. So let's work with solid, and we have the color green. So this is a short form of writing this border property. So let's make use of it in our code. So I'm just going to say border 2 pixel. Let's see how dotted looks like. Dotted, and I'm going to use green. Alright, as you can see, the lines are dotted, but we don't want to make use of dotted, so we'll make use of, so wait, let's increase this pixel so you understand how this pixel works. If I increase it to 5, the border width or the border weight becomes thick. Alright, so it makes it more bold. So I don't want to use dotted, I want to use solid. Alright, so this is what we see. Alright, so this is the difference between border and border radius. Okay, perfect, right? Okay, so that's all about image. We're going to look more on image during CSS. We could use image as the whole page background, but for now we're not going to look at that aspect. We're going to look at that with CSS. Alright, but if you want to do that using the style attributes, it's very simple. Let's look at this. Alright, we're going to give body the style attributes. Remember I said the body can use style attributes, and now you want to give this the body background image. Alright, so we use background image. The URL stands for this is the URL that is going to, the URL is going to be placed here within this single quote. So the location of the image is going to be placed here, which stands for the URL, which is your uniform resource link. So the uniform resource link for the image is going to be the image.jpg. Now most cases this application normally doesn't work because you have to use CSS for this, but let's give it a try. It's gonna work. So we have the background image. So background image is going to be, yeah, good. The image has been for background image, but if you notice the image is repeating itself, this can be solved using a background image property known as background repeats. So background repeats will set it to no repeat. Alright, so this is basically used for background image property. So now the image doesn't cover the background properly. This is when we use another background property, which is background size. Background size we want to use cover, since the background picture does not the image resolution is not equivalent to the desktop resolution, so it starts being stretched. So but the image is not properly aligned, so we're going to use background position. Let's centralize it, center. So though the image is not still rendered properly, so the best image, if you want to use a background image, be sure that the background image has a resolution that is equivalent to your desktop resolution. Okay, so when downloading background image, make sure that it is the same with your desktop resolution. So for the background property, number one, we have the background image, which makes use of the value, the uniform resource link, single quote, close. Then you also have the background size. Alright, background size, you have various values such as contain, cover, or you could just make use of your variables with your numerals 1 to 100% and set it to the desired percent. We also have background position, and the values for the background position, we have the following. You have center, you have initial, which is the beginning, you have inherit, or you could make use of your numerals 1 to 100% and set to your desire. Then we have the background repeat, which controls how image repeats, especially if the image is not equivalent, the resolution of the image is not equivalent to your screen size. That is, if the size of the image is not equal to your screen size, this is where you have to use no repeat. That's why we encountered the error of the image not fitting properly to the desktop. You have no repeat, you have repeat X, you have repeat X, repeat Y. The X is the X-axis, which is the horizontal line. Then repeat Y is the vertical line. For those of you who did mathematics in school, you will understand that the X is the line which is horizontal and the Y is the line which is vertical. So you want the picture to repeat horizontally, or you want the picture to repeat vertically. Let me demonstrate that. So for this repeat, I'm going to set it on repeat X, so for this we have to use background size contain. Alright, as you can see, the image has been repeated up here into numerous forms, unfortunately. So this center, I will have to remove background position center. Okay, our image is repeated in so much form. Let me see if I could just zoom. Wow, okay, let's try the y-axis. Alright, let's remove the background size. Yes, I think the background size is affected, so let's just work with just image repeats. Okay, I think we have what we need. So the image, if you look at this point here, the image is repeating itself, and if I set it to X, good, you have the image repeating itself on the horizontal axis. Okay, so that is all on background image, but for now background image should be best treated with CSS. And if you are to use background image on your website, be sure that the size of the background image is equivalent to the size of your screen. You can check the size of your screen on your screen resolution properties, and to check the image size, you can see it from the properties or the details of the image by right clicking and checking on the property of the image before you download it from the web. Okay, now we've had better understanding on HTML images. Now let's work with audios, and video. How do people create music download site? How is YouTube created? Well, you're not going to create YouTube or a music download site from now, but you're going to have at least 50% idea how it works. So that is why we are going to move into HTML audio and video. Sorry. Alright, so I'm just going to delete this. We don't need this for now. Alright, okay. So how do we make use of audio and video? Well, simple guess, tags. Alright, so I guess some of you have already guessed the tag. Yes, you are going to write audio tag, yes, to import audio, and yes, audio has a closing tag. Simple, right? Very easy. But at the same time, audio also have some attributes. It also has source. The source for the audio, you have to find the source of the audio, and it also has another attribute, or a function rather, known as control, and we're going to look at that. Alright, so let's call the audio. Alright, so you have the audio source, then you have controls. This controls is not just an attribute, but it's not just an attribute as it may be. It's an attribute, but this attribute has a function. Okay, as you can see, it said if this attribute is present, the browser will offer controls to allow the user control audio playback, including volume, seeking, play, and resume. Alright, playback. So if this control is not present, the audio functions and controls would not appear on the site. Alright, let's see this. As you can see here, we have an audio, but it's not playing. Why? The reason is this, because there is no audio inserted into this. You have playback speed to control and so forth. If it was viewed on a mobile phone, this will also have download to download the audio, but this is the desktop, so you have the savers to save the audio, and you can see this is going to save the audio down here, but there is nothing here. So basically we have not imported the audio. Now, as the same thing goes with links and audio, it must be present in the same file. Okay, it must be present in the same file. So I'm just going to do something. Music sample. Right, so let's see. Alright, good. So we have this music sample, and I'm just going to just copy this just to give you little ideas of how you can apply it on whatever you wish to use this audio knowledge to do. Alright, so we have the audios download, we have the audios arranged in this order. Okay, so now let's go get our audio. Alright, so just give me some few minutes. Alright, so I've gotten an audio we could make use of. Gotten an audio we could make use of. So I'm just going to come here, paste the audio. So this is the title of the audio, Michael Jackson Come Together. It's a bit too long, so I'm just going to rename this into something which could just write, so just practice sake. So I'm just going to type MJ. It's an MP3 file, as you can see. Be sure to check the format of the music. Most times the music could be MP3, WAV, and other formats. So please be sure you check the right format, and the universal supported format is actually MP3 and .wav files, and it's most times best to import, to have two, unless you import from a database. It's most important to have two formats or two styles of your music file. So if you're having two styles, you're going to have one as MP3 and the other as WAV, so it's better to import them, so in case the browser doesn't support one version, the other version will be posted. So without that, let's keep moving. So now we have our audio present in the same file. Okay, so I'm just going to come here, source. Alright, so I'm just going to type the name mj.mp3, as you can see, mj.mp3, mj.mp3, save, go to the browser, reload. Now you can see that it's counting. It already has a time duration for the music to prove that the music is already present. So just press play. So our music is present. So this can be used for several purposes. It could be used, so if this was on, alright, so you could also, if it was hosted, you could save audio as, so you could actually download the audio, but it is not hosted on a website, so the browser is not going to download this for you, but your phone browser would do that. Okay, alright, so if you have any question concerning this, please feel free to drop your question in the comment section below, or drop it in the WhatsApp group platform in the comment link below. Alright, so when we're practicing on our image, I not omitted, but to something, a trick I want to show you guys. Okay, so right beneath our audio, let's import our image. Okay, so the image source, we're getting it from the image.jpg. right now, there's another attribute known as alternative. All right, the alternative basically comes up, it's a logical attribute which gets its function if the source of the image is true. That is, if the source of the image can be located, there is to show, else it's going to give the message placed in the alternative message. So the alternative message is going to be image missing. Alright, as you can see. So if this image is available, this won't show. Alright, let's take a look. As you can see, the image is available, so you don't have anywhere displaying image missing. But now let's alter something here. Let's just mess this up a bit. Save this. Now let's run. You're going to have the message image missing. As you can see, it's a logical attribute. It's very useful, not just most times useful, very useful, especially if you are importing your image from a URL, that is, the image is gotten from the web. So it's going to have the HTTPS / and so on. Maybe the image has been gotten down from the web, or it's lost somewhere. Very important. So guys, we've treated images, we've treated audio. If you have any question, please be sure to drop down your question in the comment section below, or you could drop it in the WhatsApp group chat. The link to the WhatsApp group chat is available in the video description. Please do not forget to turn on your notifications and subscribe, so I will get notified for the next video. Now we've studied music, we've studied image. Now let's move on to videos. Alright, so I have an image here, a video rather here. So I'm just going to copy the video to our folder. Okay, so the video is mp4 and the name is test. Alright, so back to our code. Okay, so basically to import videos into your web page follows the same structure with the audio. Okay, follows the same structure, also makes use of the same attributes, control and source. Okay, the control and source. So audio makes use of two attributes. Basically, two attributes is number one, control, and the other one is the SRC, which is the source. Okay, not just control but controls. Alright, so take note of that. So the same thing too is applicable to the video. So to import the video, we do it the same way we did the audio. Source test.mp4, and yes, we give it controls. Alright, moving on to the next page. Alright, now the video is a little bit too broad, so we're going to have to reduce it. So instead of using the styles attributes, we could just simply, alright, let's make it to the styles attributes. Okay, so height, let's set height to 50%. Alright, and width also to 50%. Alright, the video has been placed in the right manner. So you have every functions given to you by the browser, the volume. You also have full screen. Alright, the same API YouTube uses. Alright, so the video plays. The video also skips. Alright, also skips. Alright, so we've successfully imported and learned how to import music and videos into our HTML page, into our web page. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them on the various channels. So next we are going to treat forms, and after that we are going to look at the HTML special tags, and you are basically done with the basics of HTML. So this has given you a 40% quick start into the front end web development. Alright, so we're going to look at forms quickly. Now we are in the final section of HTML. So we want to learn how to create HTML forms and look at other special tags. Now, as you know, most of you have visited Facebook login page or other website pages where they ask you to sign up or register or log in, and you have a rectangular block collecting users details, most especially password, emails, or the username. Now we want to learn how to build that. Those processes are actually called a registration form or cynical form, and they are created using HTML forms, and the forms are created into are created or collected through some specific tags, and the tags involved in form are impute, we have select, and we also have text area, and among others, but these are the three important form components. So now we're going to look at these form components one by one. Now let's look at inputs. Okay. Alright. So in order to create a form, we make use of the form tag. So before I treat that, let's comment this code. So let's create a registration form. So basically we can be able to use every input types present, every input attribute present in the input component. So this is a registration form. Alright, so we open the form tag. The form tag has a closing tag. So within the form tag is where we're going to place every of our forms. So before that, let's just do something. Let's give the body a style attribute and make text align center, so every of our text to be centralized. So within the form, let's have a header one, and let's have sign up. Alright, let's run this page and see how it goes. Alright, sign up is the center. So now we can start filling out our form. So let's start with the first. Now there are basically different methods at which forms can be designed. So for this video, for this tutorial, since you are basically still in the basic level, we are going to use the simplest and one of the most common methods. So in other videos, other projects, I'll be creating different forms using different methods, so you can watch those videos. I'll be creating a video tutorial soon on building a simple registration forms of different types, different kinds, different colors, different techniques, different methods, so you can watch every videos. So it's important that you subscribe so you'll be notified when those videos are available. So we're going to create an input tag. So the input tag basically have a lot of attributes, but we're going to focus on one attribute, which is type. Now the attribute type has lots of values. We have button, checkbox, color, date, date time, email, file, hidden, image, month, number, password, range, reset, submit, telephone, text, time, URL, week. So we're not going to make use of everything here, so on your own you can scale through them and try and understand what they do. So we are just going to use some of these values. So the first one I'm going to use is text. Alright, that's all. So for this I'm going to have this first name. Alright, so you run, you're going to see this. So this basically collect text only. So Micah, good. So we've created one. Now we're going to create another to collect email. Oh, let's just give this name. So basically we're not learning how to build a registration form, we're just learning how to use the form and learn the various input types of the form. To learn how to build a form, there will be various videos on that, okay? So you're just trying to understand the methodology behind HTML forms, okay? So email, we're going to make use of the inputs. So for the type, email is going to be email. Alright, now there's another attribute that is very important in form. It's just like a function, just like the controls. It's required. This required also works like the alternate attribute we used in the image. So if the form set is empty, it's going to give user prompt to fill in the spaces, the empty text areas. So it's going to be effective once we've placed a button in our web page. So now I want to make this to come right under name, so we're going to make use of the break line tag. If you remember what was the function, since we're not using CSS, so right is right under, so we just add one more. Remember, I told you we shouldn't use more than two. We are only making use of this since we have no prior knowledge of CSS. So we've created our email input. Alright, so next here we're going to add our break line also. Alright, let's collect phone number. So for phone number, we're going to make use of the input also, but the input type is going to be, you can make use of two. You have the number and you have tel. So I'm going to make use of tel, required, and add our break line tag. Alright, so if you open this on phone, it's going to be giving only numbers, okay? So this one is on focus, it's going to protrude out your numeric keyboard. That's your numeric keypad. If you open this on your device, Alright, so let's work with another input. Let's work with select. Alright, so we're just going to put country. Now we've looked at the input, and I told you that the input have a lot of types which you can practice through. We're not learning how to build a form, we are just looking at the methodologies of using a form and understanding the input type and other attributes and functions that comes with the form. So for country, we're going to use the select, and in the select we're going to have options. The option tag is going to allow us to create various options. So for option, let's have option 1 Nigeria. This is just the basics. There are much more advanced ways of doing this, because you wouldn't want to type the whole list of countries in the world. There are APIs that can render this for you, but as a beginner you have to understand the methodology of how this works. So we're just going to create just 3 options. There are APIs to create this, basically to list out all countries option. So good, let's see. Alright, we forgot. Okay, let's see. Alright, so you can see you have this drop down. So this is how the select works, and this drop down has the various options needed. Alright, so the next we're going to work, so to adjust the width to be equal to the input width, you make use of your CSS, or you make use of your style attributes. So you make sure that the width of select and the width of inputs are equal. Well, as I said, we are not learning how to build a form, we are just studying how to use it and the methodologies behind it. To learn how to create a standard form, you will have to master CSS and HTML before you can be able to create and design a proper well-looking form. And to create a functional form, you will have to have mastered HTML, CSS and JavaScript in order to create a very well functional form as functional as this. So when you click on sign up, it gives you a prompt that says error, please fill out all details. So this is where the requires come in. You can see fill out this field. So this is a full functional working form, as you can see. Alright, so this is how to build a form. So for now, let's understand the methodologies and the form. So next, let's create for password. Alright, so we're going to work with the input. Sorry, it's an error. So for input type, we're going to use password. Select, let's give it break line. Sure. Alright, so when you type in anything within the password input, everything is going to be hidden. Okay, so you have this function here to view what you typed and view what's there, as you can see. So everything is going to be hidden and typed. Alright, so let's work with another. Let's imagine we are asking the user to input his image. So input type, so you could have him to input his file if the user wants to input file or image and other things. You have range, you have reset, you have search, a lot. So I'm going to use image. Alright, so let's view. So okay, let's make use of file. Alright, so once you click to choose file, it opens the library. So there you can import anything. Let's say I want to import this image, and I click open. So the image is displayed here to prove that yes, the image object has been here. And with JavaScript you can do some manipulation and some other logic behind it. So let's assume we're asking the user for the date of birth. Alright, so let's make use of input type date. This is another input type. Alright, let's look at the input type. As you can see, it gives you option to prop out your calendar and pick out date, year and month. So these are the various input types. Alright, so in the name you have text, the email, you have this. So let's create a button. As you can see, the required function gives us a prompt saying we should enter the following at. Alright, so telling us that this is not complete, so we put complete it with .com or whatsoever. So let's run this up. Now let's put a button. The form is not complete without a button, so I'm going to write the button tag, and within I'm going to write submit. Alright, so we have the submit button, and on click, this is the function of the required. It prompts you to enter details there. Let's imagine I place just mic and I enter 0903690 password 1234. Alright, date of birth. We didn't put required on this, so all this wouldn't matter. So it tells us that we should include an @ in the email address. So @gmail.com. So once we click submit, it sends the data, but the data is sent nowhere since this is not connected to a database. So once you've learned back-end and other database programming languages such as SQL and other means of database control as MongoDB, you'll be able to manipulate this data to a back-end, just like this one. The if data is going to be sent to a collection. So this is the form methodology. This form could be redesigned with CSS and can be created in different forms. So to know more about forms and how to create various styles of forms and types of forms, please make sure you are tuned to this channel, as videos will be posted and uploaded concerning forms styles and other types of forms that you could use for your project. And if those videos are uploaded, I will give updates on the WhatsApp group. So please make sure that you are all present in the WhatsApp group. The link is present in the video description. So now we are basically done with forms. If you want to study more on the form types, you can just make sure you're using Visual Studio Code and look up on all the form types and how they appear and how they behave. Now let's take a look at some other special HTML tags. Well, these HTML tags do not have effect for now till you have learned CSS, but the tags that these tags basically include the header tag, which also has a closing tag, the section tag, which also has a closing tag, the article tag, which also has a closing tag, and the footer, which also has a closing tag. These tags are very useful for creating a standard website, as the name of the tag implies. So with the documents within and every element within also reply. The footer is basically, as I said, is basically the last section of every website or web app. Remember when I said the web page, which is the HTML, consists of three basic categories, which is the head, body, and the footer. So these four tags are very special, and they will not display anything until we apply them with CSS. So our next course video, we are going to treat CSS, and we're going to basically look at these tags and how to create a full structured website using CSS. Alright, now we have come to the end of HTML. These are the basic things you need to know about HTML. More videos on advanced HTML coding and projects will be posted, so please make sure you subscribe so you'll be notified on every videos that will be uploaded to this channel. Please make sure you share, like, and give your comments on opinions or questions concerning this video. Alright, thank you, have a wonderful day.